G'day, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching another episode of Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza, and this episode is on audio and sound in Adobe Flash and creating your animations and such. Now, as you can see, I have a terrible mustache on my face, so to match that, I'm going to be talking for as long as I can in a terrible trailer trash voice. Now, getting into it, this is my animation sample we're going to be using to add audio to. So when I press play or enter, you can see the guy on the right kicks the other guy in the back of the head and then the other guy in the nuts. And then in the background we have a happy little helicopter going across our screen there. And then we'll go straight to credits, and where all due credit is given to the person who matters, me. Now, I have my audio files pre-prepared here, which I'm just going to show you how to import in a moment. But before I get to that, I want to go into the browser and show you where you can find some sounds. So if you go to findsounds.com, you can see this is a website in which you can find free sounds. So if I type punch, oops, and you can see these punch sounds come up. You can hit play and listen to them, and you can download them. So that's one place. Another place is flashkit.com, and that takes you to this here website. When it moves, I don't want to see your advertisement. And on the right here, ignore the tutorial section because you just want to watch mine, don't watch anybody else's. Go to the sound effects section, and you can see that they have a fairly, when it loads, they have a fairly broad sound effects selection area. So that's worth looking at. Now, these are free audio websites. Now, if you want to get into more professional things and you don't find what you need in those websites, you might want to look at getting an audio engineer. So Google, audio services, or go on things like the Newgrounds forums, where there are budding audio engineers and artists who want to get some work, who would be willing to work for a lower price, but still hopefully you'll be able to find the quality you need. Anyways, so I'm going to show you how to work with the audio in Flash once ready. So I'm going to open my library here so you can see where I'm going to import them into. So if I just open that panel, got my library here on the bottom, grab my folder, and I'll click and drag these sound files into the library. And you can see right here on the left, I got all my 6 audio files stacked up there. So what I would like to do is show you the different kinds of audio that you can play and how all right, fucking the voice isn't working anymore, so I'm just going to talk in my own still trailer trashy Aussie voice. Anyways, so I'm sorry if you couldn't understand any of my bad accent. The first thing we're going to do is use the event triggered, things like the hit sounds. So if I go to the frame where this guy makes contact, bam. Okay, so that's where he makes contact. Okay, so in the timeline, I'm going to make a new frame here, and I'm going to listen to my hit sounds. Okay, so I'll pick which one I like most. So I like that one for the first hit. Okay, now you can hear that as I move my, I don't know what you call this thing, scroller over the sound, it plays each frame worth of sound. That's because when I click here, the audio is set to stream. Now, often it will be set as default to event. You don't want that. You want it set to stream. Okay, so make sure that that's selected, especially for things where the audio is timed particularly. I'm going to go 3 frames earlier, and place one of these swishes. So I'll listen to these. Okay, so I want to place the first one a few frames before, so we hear a swish, then a hit. Okay, I'll even bring it earlier. Okay, so we've got those 2 sounds placed. We have the swish and hit. Okay, so he lands, this other guy freaks out, and then we want another swish here. So place that there, and then we have the hit frame around here. So as you can see, I've kind of got a few layers happening here with the audio. Okay, I don't want to overlay the swish with the hit because the swish sound still sort of carries on. Whoosh. And if I cut it, it'll just be like, whoosh, you know, if that makes any sense. Whereas later on, I want to close off the audio by adding in a new keyframe. Okay, so if I play these, okay, so you can see I've placed the audio in a way that makes the scene have sound. Okay? Now, this is the kind of thing I would do, or at least earlier on before I had a sound engineer to create sound effects played out for an animation. Whereas now what I tend to do is animate everything without sound effects, except for the voices. I always need to animate to the voices. And then I send my audio engineer the clip, and he puts in all the sound effects in time and all this stuff with the voice, syncs it all up, and EQs it, and then, you know, does the stereo channeling and all this stuff, and sends me back a single audio file that I put on there, which has all of the sound effects and the voices in stereo. So that's one of the major perks of working with someone who knows how to do audio. But this tutorial is for people who are just getting into Flash, might want to make some stick figure animations, or are starting into you know, some more story-based animations. And so this is a simple way of, on the main timeline, setting up your sound effects. And make sure that you have several layers dedicated to the sound effects where you can separate them and make sure they have their space needed to play the whole sound. Okay, so the next bit here is we have this helicopter in the background. Okay, so I want the helicopter sound, but I want it to loop, and I don't have a long helicopter sound. I just have a short one that I can loop. Okay, so this is how I would do that here. If I go into this clip, we can see that it's a movie clip, which means that this is going to forever repeat, even though it doesn't play on the main timeline. So I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to get my helicopter.wave and click and drag it onto the stage. And let's see how that plays out. So I'm going to press Control Enter to test my movie. Okay, so what you can hear very quickly that it got very choppy. You can just hear the right, which is bad. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to hit F5 on the frame that the helicopter sound is placed, and you can see that it's actually a lot longer than it played in the test, and it's a lot smoother sounding. So I'm going to find the end, of the sound, which is, there we go, so it's around here. And then I'm going to copy these frames by Control-Alt-C and then place them every frame after. So I'll do the same thing again just so I can get a bigger frame area copied, like that. Okay, and I'll shorten that. So that way when I play it and test it, Control-Enter, it'll be a smoother sound. Okay, so this is pretty terrible, but for the sake of example, this is something which is decent. You can see that the sound loops in the background, so once it reached the end, it went back to the start, and it is a stream sound again. Now, if I had it set to event, it would loop as well, but it wouldn't stop when the thing repeated if it was cut off early. So if the if the movie clip is off stage, I'm not sure if it stops or not. That's something you'll have to figure out. Either way, going back, so we've got our main stuff in. We've got our main audio in, and what we've got here after the helicopter goes by is the credits area. So I'm going to show you quickly something you can do. So rather than having a really long credits frame space, I can have a credits frame space of, let's give it 2 frames. I'll close that off. So it's just, when you get to the end, you've got 2 frames here. So after you give it 2 frames, I'm going to make a new keyframe on the very last frame. And if I open my, actions panel, I'll type stop, no capitals, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. All right. So if I'll close that off, and what that does is it stops it on the very last frame. And on the frame just before that, I'm going to place my credits song. So click and drag it onto the stage. And I will set this from stream to event. Okay, so an event plays and continues to play until the sound is completely finished, even if the frame isn't moving. Whereas a stream plays at the same rate of the frames that it's playing on. So it will stop when the frames stop, that kind of thing. So if I hit Control Enter to test now and play my movie. Yep, that worked. Okay, so not quite sure what happened there. I think it just kind of lagged the sound at the end, but don't have time to go into that stuff. So basically, it's got my event sounds here, the sound that plays within the movie clip of the helicopter, and then the sounds of the credits. Okay, so the song, which is set to an event instead of a stream. Now, the last thing you want to worry about when you're dealing with audio in Flash are the publish settings. So if I go File, Publish Settings, I need to make sure that my Flash audio stream and event, the quality is brought up a lot, because the basic default is this, MP3 16 kilobytes a second mono. So I'm going to have to change that. I want it to be MP3 at least 80 kilobytes a second. I don't know if it's kilobytes per second, but whatever, kbps, at least that. So if you want it to go up from there, that's fine. And don't convert stereo to mono, and do the same for audio event. So bring it up, don't convert stereo to mono, and then hit OK. In this way, when I save and do my test again, there will be an extreme difference in sound quality. Okay, it's not hugely noticeable with these crappy quality sound effects in this example, but you'll see in your own applications, especially because this is recording secondhand speaker sound shit. Anyways, so feel free to download this sample in the section below, in the comment section below. Now, a few FAQs that I get from people. One is in regards to lagging sounds. Now, this is a big common one in Flash, where there's a big project file, and the bigger the file, towards the end of the Flash, things start to lag a bit in terms of sound. The separation happens, right? This is a pain in the ass. I don't think Flash was ever made to make, like, feature length or, big sort of animated cartoons, which is sad, because it is more multimedia based and for games and stuff. Regardless, my workaround is that in animations like the Larry series or whatever, I animate every scene in a separate Flash file. So if there are 10 scenes, I would animate the whole animation in 10 separate Flash files, and then when I've finished them all, I'll bring them all into the one Flash file, and then with each new scene, I will move the audio clips back or forward 1 or 2 frames exponentially through the animation. Now, that is a bit of a pain in the ass workaround. An awesome solution to this will be coming very soon from Newgrounds. They're going to be releasing a Swift to video converter soon called Swivel, in which you can import several Swifts and it will compile them into one movie, and that will be an instant solution to that kind of problem. But for now, that's the solution I use. It's not ideal. A lot of this audio working stuff in Flash kind of thing is very based upon working and getting your own workarounds and getting used to how it all works on your own kind of thing. So either way, this is enough of a sample to show you how to bring sounds into your library, drag them onto the stage, the difference between stream and events, and publish settings, and all that jazz. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. Make sure you have a wonderful week, and subscribe if you like my video content and my terrible accents, and you there have a wonderful day.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Links are below to download the original files for reference. Remember, if you animate or draw something cool, be sure to share it on Newgrounds.com, the internet's best source for animations, games, art and music. Until next time, see you later.